Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to today's video. In just about every one of my videos, I share basically the same truths, that whatever truth I feel like the Lord has revealed to me, and then it's probably some offshoot of that. And a couple of these things that probably are in every one of my videos is that God is love and that we're one with God. You know, we were created as an extension of divine love, and we are divine energy, and because of that, that guarantees our oneness with each other. And so therefore, if I'm one with you, whatever I give to you, I'm actually giving to myself. And that can mean anything that's positive or anything that's negative. It can be my attitude, my words, my rolling of my eyes. It can be service. It can be unconditional love. It can be money. It can be anything. It really gets back to the golden rule of treat others as you would want to be treated, because actually in every situation, I am both the giver and the receiver of everything. I can really picture myself being in both sides of that equation. And also I can picture that when I give to somebody else, I'm actually giving to God as well. The other truth that I can have started sharing in the last few months probably is that this world is not real. It's an illusion. It feels like it's happening. It feels like everything is material. It feels like this body is hard and fast, and it's just energy. As you know, it's mostly water, so it's not as hard as it looks. And so this world is something that our combined egos contrived when we thought that we could be separated from God. And of course, nothing can leave its source. It is actually God that keeps everything, holds everything together, and is the source of everything. We have never been separated from God and cannot be. Now, I had an experience a few days ago that actually gave me the opportunity to practice this, to put it into practice, and to see, if do I believe it, and do I live this out in real life experiences. I got up one morning and I went into a back room where there's a couch, and I sat down to meditate and to pray, as I always do first thing in the morning. And as I sat down, for some reason that morning, I checked my email before I set my timer for 15 minutes. I never do that. I can't tell you why I did it that morning. But when I checked, briefly scanned the email on my phone, I saw that there was an email from a bank that said that there was a charge that had been made for nearly $1,000. Well, I can't tell you. At first, I panicked. I was feeling fear. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Has somebody stolen my card? Where did I use my card that somebody could have stolen the numbers? So all these fearful thoughts started running through my mind. And then I remembered why I was there. I had come there to spend time with my Creator. I had come there to get centered in my life that morning so that I would be able to handle all the things that would unfold for me that day. And this was just one of the things that apparently was going to unfold. So even just thinking, remembering the reason I had come, started to settle me down. I started to get recentered, even just with that thought of my intention of being there. I could feel the fear already starting to dissipate. So I settled back down, I set my timer, and I just turned all of my attention inward. That's where God is, and that's where I always find my peace and love and joy. So, but as I sat there that morning, I was thinking about this money that looked like it had disappeared from my account, and I started thinking about somebody who believed that the only way that they were in such dire straits that the only way they could get out of it was to steal from somebody else. And I started thinking about how that would feel, and started actually feeling a very strong allegiance to someone who would be in such desperate straits that would seem to be the answer for their life. And just in acknowledging that somebody could feel that way, I could feel love swelling up inside of me towards my imaginary thief. Um, and then I realized the second thing, which is this is just a made up world. I started to remember that whatever's going on in this world is not real. Actually, I was sitting in the theater, in the audience of the theater, with my imagined thief brother, with Jesus here with us, and we're just watching this film play itself out on the screen. And in this imaginary film, he was playing the part of robber, and I was playing the part of the person to be robbed. I'm telling you, I had to chuckle when I thought about it in this way, that this was just something that, like a child's dream, and we were just playing out our parts as this unfolded. Now, because this was actually a forgiveness exercise, I hadn't actually sat down with the intention of going through this, but this is what happened when I just allowed the Spirit to like play this out for me in my mind. So I would still investigate later on what went on. That was my thinking, but it wouldn't be from a position of fear or anger or loss even. It would just be totally a different, just looking into it. So now that I had forgiven my made-up imaginary thief brother, again, I don't even know what's going on, but this is how my mind had gone through this, picturing him and using my imagination to forgive him. So now I was ready to settle in to pray for the people that I had actually come with the intention of praying for that day. And there was somebody who had lost a family member in war. There was somebody who'd lost his mother. So one had been killed, one had died. There was somebody else, a young boy, who had gone through brain surgery because of something that was happening in his brain. And there was somebody else who was having severe back pain, who was actually facing having back surgery that morning. Now, as I lifted each of them up in prayer, I could feel myself becoming one with each of them. I felt myself picturing them as the person that they really are, as the one Son of God who has never left heaven. I pictured them there with me. We were all complete and whole and not missing anybody. We were there. Now, I would not make light of their experiences. That is not what I had come there with the intention of doing at all. They actually believe that they are going through what their body tells them that they're experiencing. And honestly, I've lost loved ones who've died. I have had brain surgery. I have had uncontrollable pain. And I'm just now waking up to this being an illusory world. So to pray for them, I was steadfast in holding each of them in my mind in this complete and whole state. I was fully present with them in my mind. And so, because I believe that I'm offering them the freedom by doing the praying for them in this way, I'm offering them the freedom to be relieved from this grief, this loss of a loved one, from the pain, from the suffering, from all kinds of suffering, for whatever they were going through. My picturing them and lifting them up and being steadfast and holding them in that place, in that position, that I was actually releasing them or giving them availability to be free from what they were going through in this present moment. They didn't need to know even that I was praying for them. And certainly they didn't need to know that I was praying for them in that way. But the energy of me being one with them actually released my energy and my certainty and confidence in who they are. That energy, again, is oneness. It would totally just go and be provided to them. They would sense perhaps this energy surge of this kind, to be that they would find it inside them. Now, I'm currently reading a book by Byron Katie, and the book is called A Mind at Home with Itself. And in this book, Katie talks about this oneness principle and not principle, this experience, and about the reality of our existence in heaven. I'm going to read just a little bit that I gleaned from this book. Actually, I took verbatim out of the book, and I'll put a link to the book down below in the first comment. This is what Katie has to say. She says, if someone is suffering, in other words, if someone is believing a world of suffering into existence, then that is what is left of me. It's my old self. It's one of my cells, one of the cells of my body that isn't as free as it deserves to be. And I know that that cell is perfect, except it's saying that it's not. So I stay there in my clarity, immovable. I know that it's only myself I'm showing up for. I am the one in terror. I am the one in despair. Katie goes on to say, the suffering that people describe to me necessarily comes from either an imagined past or an imagined future. I understand that when people are suffering, they are me, trapped in a painful past or anticipating a dangerous future. And I respect this, as I respect a child having a bad dream. To the dreamer, it isn't a dream. My job isn't ever to wake up the sufferers, but rather to see what I see and never override or disrespect their suffering, since it is very real to them. My job is to understand. I take people's problems seriously, but only from their point of view. In my world, it's not possible to have a problem without believing a prior thought. I don't tell people that because telling them what I see would be unkind. I listen to them and I wait to be of use. I too have been trapped in the torture chamber of the mind. I hear people's delusions, their sadness or despair, and I'm completely available without fear, without sadness, living in the grace of reality now. And eventually, as love would have it, if their minds are open to inquiry, their problems begin to disappear in the presence of someone who doesn't see a problem. The problem falls away, which shows there wasn't a problem in the first place. Isn't that beautiful? So that morning for me, as I focused all my thoughts now on people who were suffering, the Holy Spirit used in the background, used my experience of just sitting there in this inward inquiry and this prayer for other people, used it to dissolve my made-up problem. I suddenly remembered that there was one payment that had been scheduled to be paid, and this email was just alerting me to the fact that this had happened. Now, my ego had made up a problem that didn't even exist to try to distract me from spending time to get centered for that day with the Lord, and also to pray for these people and lift them up into the steadfastness of their true identity in God. And I think it's really interesting that I had this made up problem, but it reflects the fact of my belief that this whole world just presents us with made up problems. I think that's why this all happened that day and unfolded the way it did, because the Holy Spirit used this imaginary thing to really have me get more solid even than I was before in our oneness with each other, and with that this world is not the real world. And so seeing this the way I see it now, I see that I am the one who feels like I need to rob in order to be secure. I am the one who is afraid that somebody's going to steal from her account, and she's put all of her thoughts of being secure in things here in this made-up world. I am the one who's suffering the loss and grieving the loss of a loved one because they're not here in bodily form anymore. And I am the one who's feeling terrible pain and suffering and in so many ways, and surgeries and pain and things. I am each of those people, and I can pray for them and see them as they truly are, because I am also the one who transcended this world and knew that they were always in heaven and had never left their place there, just like Jesus and just like Buddha. They transcended this world and saw the world where there is no pain, there is no suffering, no death, no dying, a place that calls us to joy and peace and radiant love at all times. And that's the place that's calling us all home. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you do. Leave a comment or hit the like button. Go and be blessed the rest of the day. I just love you beyond words. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.